Hi folks, John with GMIT Label here. This video today that I'm going to try to do as quick as possible, just simply because the upload time to YouTube is extremely long for these videos. But one, I'm going to make some assumptions. Before you watch this video, I'm going to make the assumption that you've already watched the video on some printer on how to operate the printer. In this case, I'm using a Zebra ZT230 printer. I'm assuming that you've already watched the label formatting video that I did on formatting labels using the Zebra Designer Pro software. I'm assuming that you've already seen the video on how to link a database to a label. And this video is linking a database to a UPC Bar Code, basically is what I'm going to do here and so forth. So before you start though, once again, you should have your printer. In this case, I'm using a ZT230. 2, you need to establish a database. 3, you need to format a label in general. And then 4, you need to link that label to the database. And then finally, I'll end with number 5, and that's actually printing a label using that particular database and so forth. So once again, assuming that you have the printer loaded, in this case, we're using a 1.5 by 1 label, and we're going to do a barcode and then do a database with that. Let me get out of this label here. I'm not going to save this just simply because I'm going to start fresh, but the first thing we want to do is make sure we got our printer, it's up and running and it's ready to go. I'm going to get on here. I've already started to format a database just in the interest of saving some time, so I'm going to open this up. And hopefully, let me back out because I want to make sure everybody sees this. In fact, I hate cameras. I think I've told all of you this a number of times, just simply because you lose the trend of thought talking rather than concentrating on what you need to concentrate on. But I am going to see if I can't do this. But you can see where I started. This is a regular Excel spreadsheet that I've got going here. Let me move this over because I want to make sure I get the right shot here. This is a regular Excel spreadsheet. I'm using a laptop PC, Microsoft type PC, Microsoft XP, 13 years old, so it's nothing fancy. XP Excel, but this is an Excel spreadsheet. You can see up on the top up in here where I have the field name column names. I have it highlighted in red. And then I have some of the cells already filled in. Now, you can make your database, as I mentioned in past videos, as big as you want with as much information. Later, we're going to format the label and then link a field in that label to this database with the information you want. In this particular case, we're going to go ahead and link these, and then I'll show you how you can call those up and print it and so forth. So. And I would make one recommendation when you take and do your field names up here. Don't use anything like commas. If you're familiar with databases with extensions DB, commas mean something to that database, so you want to leave it out of your typing when you're using it and so forth. And then also, I generally put the company name for whatever that's going to be for that barcode. I put the company name in there just simply because when your operator calls up to print the database, at least they're going to be able to see the company name and so forth. And once again, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I've already started this, and just to show you though, just to so you actually see this is something I'm doing here. You can see where I have the 2. Let's just take these out of here real quick because I want to make certain that you know that I did do this. And we're just going to put quantity 2. We're making this stuff up, so. But that's pretty much my database. I'm going to go ahead and do a file save over here. And I'm going to replace it just so you see what I'm doing. So I got my database established. The next thing I want to do is I want to format a label. And in this case, I've already done, in fact, I'll do this. I'm going to do new just so that you see it. And once again, I shouldn't do it because I'm making the assumption you already saw formatting a label. So I kind of hate covering past ground and so forth. It just takes up a lot of valuable time. But the first thing is you want to select your printer. In this case, the printer that is being used, and I was kind enough where I upgraded, this printer is going to go to a customer, and I upgraded it no charge, them to a 300 DPI because I knew they were going to be printing. And you see I'm picking a ZT230 300 DPI. Just simply because I knew they were going to be printing barcodes and I wanted them to have the best possible. Next, standard print mode. Next, stock name. I don't do any of that where I actually assign a stock name. Just skip that whole thing. Automatically set from label dimensions. Next, portrait. Leave it that way. We're not going to rotate that label, although you can, but you see it. Here you see 3. We're going to say over here the label height is 1. So we see that. Don't put any margins. You want to have the room to move the stuff around on the label that you want. And then I'm going to say finish. Oh, it should have been, I'm sorry, let's go back. In fact, let's get out of this because I actually set up the wrong label size. File, new. I'm just going to do this all over again. Oops. 300 DPI, properties, and I should have covered this with you. Properties, the darkness, probably somewhere around 11, maybe a 10. Keep in mind, the hotter you run your machine, and that darkness is actually a heat setting, the hotter you run it, the quicker you're going to burn out the print head. So that's always key. Advanced setup, you need to go in here. Down here, thermal direct or thermal transfer. In this case, if you're using a ribbon, it's thermal transfer, so you better mark that. So it's I'm kind of glad that we have to go back and redo this. Let's go to next. Standard print mode, next, and we skip this step. Automatically set from the label dimensions. Portrait's okay, we're not rotating it. And actually the label is going to be 1.5 with the label height 1.0. And we're going to say finish. Okay, so let me back out of it. Hopefully you can see that. That's the label that we just created. Hope the lighting's okay. Let's do the first thing. Once again, I'm going to keep stressing. I'm assuming you watched the video on how to format a label. In this case, what we're going to be doing is barcodes. In this case though, let's get and plug a text in there just so you actually see something. And then I'm going to delete that later. We're going to put here GMIT label, and let me zoom in here to make sure you actually see this. GMIT label, and then down here I'm going to actually select what I want it to be. I'm going over here to say Arial. I'm going to leave it bold. I'm going to make it 10 and say OK, and I'm going to say finish. And as you can see, that pops up, and I can pop that bugger right there in the middle over here. Let me back out again. Now I want to do a barcode. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select fixed barcode. So hang with me a little bit. I'm going to zoom in on this so you actually see this. This is where we're starting to get to the meat of the subject here. First we're going to say fixed barcode here. And if you're doing a UPCA code, well, which we have to select, you'll see down here where it says 128. Here we're going to define what code we want. We're going to go up here where it says GS1 Ian. We're going to cursor on down, and you can see UPCA. That's what we're selecting. This is important over here. The symbol height and the narrow bar width. I tell people all the time, don't just grab corners and start shrinking and enlarging these codes. Take them by dimension. In this case, like for instance, we're going to say 3. Well, I'll do the 4 and then we'll come back and we'll actually change it. And then also down here you'll see where it says print barcode as a graphic. Well, there's a reason why you might want to click off on that. When you get into the next one here, you want it to automatically generate a check digit. Human readable, you want it to be below the barcode. But if you notice over here, font is somewhat faded out. If you went back to the general and clicked on this, you can come back under the human readable, and now you can select your font. So if you have a 9 in there for a size, you can actually go 8. So you can reduce it. Now keep in mind, you can always change it. That's the human readable underneath. but you have to select the as a print as a graphic, so to change that. So we have this size. We're going to come back and probably change it, and we're going to say OK. Now what it's going to ask us is digits. If you're doing a UPCA, the maximum it holds is 12. You're going to put in 11, then it generates a check digit, which is 12. So just to show you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5. That's 10, 11. If I actually went more, in this case, let's say 6, it won't let me. If you can see that, it won't let me do that. Even if I came up short and did 8, and I tried to click on finish, it'll pop up and say invalid content for the barcode. Barcode cannot have a value. This barcode requires 12-digit character input. And as I mentioned, that means you're going to put in 11, and here's the 11th one, and then it's going to generate the check digit. I'm going to say finish, and here's your code. So this basically is the code that we're looking at here. Now, you look at that and you say, okay, this is too big. So what we could do is we're going to go in here, back under here where it says define. Let's take and shrink this. Now keep in mind, when a scanner scans, it's scanning across this way. So if you shrink this down a little bit, it's not an issue. If you want to shrink it in left to right, make sure you use this down here. But let's do this here first. We're going to say a 1/2 inch. So we're going to shrink that by a 1/4 inch, and we're going to say OK. Finish. Whoops. Apparently I must have hit the wrong one here. Let's do it again. Yeah. 0.50. So we're saying a 1/2 inch, and there it is. So as you can see, we have it left to right, and we shrunk that down to a 1/2 inch. I think we'll make it a little bit bigger just for kicks. We could take 0.68 and say OK. Finish. Hopefully you're seeing exactly what I'm doing here, and I'm trying to equally space that apart. So now we have this. Let's do a quick print here so I can actually show you. Okay, I'm going to actually I'm going to back out of here a little bit. Oops, wrong way. I'm going to back out so you can actually see that, and you'll be able to see this label hopefully. That's the actual printed label. Looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. But that's the label and how it looks. That's a 1.5 by 1 inch top to bottom label. You can read the human readable and so forth. So that's what we have. Now, how do you link it to the database? That's really what you want to do. Let's go over here. Now you'll see where it was fixed. Fixed means we actually programmed the information in. Let's take this out and go with, in fact, let me zoom in. And we're going to click variable. And then once we do variable, if you notice down here, next kind of popped up where it got highlighted, so we can hit next. And then over here you'll see a column where it'll tell you how do you want to input it. Keyboard, counter, data field, time field, database. We're going to say database. And then down here click next again. And now it's going to ask us to define what the database will be. And you'll see here direct access or other databases. We're going to do a direct access. We're going to access the Excel. So let's do a browse. And it takes me right here. This is where I actually saved the Design Pro samples database. And we're going to select this one here, barcode database. We're going to open it. And then it says sheet 1. That's all we have on there, sheet 1. We could add sheet 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to sheet 1 and so forth. That's the table we selected. Next, you'll see where it highlighted everything in there that we had on those top columns, even over here where it's down here where it says UPCA code. So everything is highlighted. That's good. We don't have to define it anymore. We've already done that. We'll say next. It's going to ask us, I want to print all the records from the table. I want to select what records to print. I want to select what records to print. Next question, specify how the label quantity information is defined. So that means print one label for each. One field in the table contains the quantity, which we don't want. I will enter the label quantity for each selected record. And then the last question is define how you want selected label fields to be used on the labels. Here I want a text object for each selected field. I don't want to do that. I want to link it. And that's really what I'm after, and I'm going to say finish. So you can see now, the first one it says define. So define what the barcode is going to be. Well, I'm actually looking for the field that says UPC code. And we know it's not going to be 32 characters. In fact, we know it's going to be somewhere around 12. So we're going to say next, no prefix, no suffix. We're going to say finish. Now, as you can see, it has right here a little yellow window popped up. Hopefully you can see that. And what that means is we've actually linked it. We've actually linked that to a database. So that tells the code is actually printing off of a database and so forth, and we have the GMIT label at the top. Now we can take this out anytime we want. You know, just to show you. I'll take it out. You can add it in, or you can add a text field up here and pull up a customer name if you wanted to do that. You know, as an example, we can come in here and new database field, click, and once again it's going to ask us again, and what we're going to say is, let's say a customer name. Let me see if I can't find that somewhere. Oh, I may not even have it in there. Oh, company name. Company whatever name. I'm not sure what that is. So let's go with 20 characters on this here. No prefix or suffix. And you can see we have something sitting here. Not sure how that's going to look, but let's put it in there anyways. So now we have two, but more importantly, we have the barcode linked to the barcode itself. And let's do a file print. And this would be kind of important. So right now, all you know is you got a field, but you'll never be able to see the actual information. Where you'll see the information is when you select what to print. The magic of using a database is somebody else will work in Excel to put the information into it, but your operators are in the plant that are going to print labels. You want them to be able to print the labels, but you don't want them to spend the time loading the information, possibly making mistakes, or changing the information. You want to have control of that. That's the magic of a database. So when you go over here and you say file print, in fact, let me get out of this again. I'm going to close. I want you to actually see this. Up in the design software over here, I want you to see this because it is important. Over here where you say file print, and that's when this window pops up over here. Let me tighten this up a little bit. Let me zoom in. And then what's important on this here is the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to select the records you want to print. Now you saw this was the database field that in fact we had set up. So we can come over here and we can say, well, we want to print this one, and then over here there's a quantity. Click on it and you can see where you can say, give me 2 of these. Now that's all your operators can do. They can't come in here and change this information. You can come down here and say print this one, print this one, print this one. Give me 3 of these. Give me 1 of these. Give me 4 of these. So as you can see, you selected 4 records. We don't want that. You selected 4 records and you have your quantities 2, 3, 1, and 4. So once you say that, you can say okay. And now you got that done. And down here you say print. Now if you can hear the printer is actually printing away. You back out of this. Oops. And as you can see now, let me make sure I show this. You can see the first company, I believe, is whoever. And there's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then there's GMIT label, then there's ABC company, and then there's ABC company. So there's the labels that we requested. The barcodes, I'm hoping you can see that. The barcodes all change accordingly. to what we wanted. But that's basically how you link that field. And that's kind of neat. Now the one thing too is, I should have mentioned this to you, you'll notice where GMIT label is sitting off on the right. Once again, I'm making the assumption that or you can see the company name sitting off to the left. I'm making the assumption that you watch the label formatting video, but what we did is we should have formatted this. We could have actually come over here and said center it, so that in fact that information could have been centered for us, and we could also make that name smaller. So we centered it, made it smaller. Once again, we can go up here. We can do a file print. Come back down here, and we're going to do select our records. Let's go back in here. We'll just do the 2. We'll say print us 2 of these, print 3 of these, and we got to throw GMIT in there, so just got to. And we'll print 4 of these, and we're going to say OK and print. Well, here it is. We got there you see GMIT, and you also see where the name is now centered, and you'll see the appropriate barcode with each one of them. There's 4 of those. The ABC company is 11. That's centered. Park Corporation is 10. So you can see it, 10, 11, 12, 13 on the barcodes, or 12, 10, 11, 12 on the barcodes, and you can also see the names are centered and so forth. So what we've done is we've actually went ahead and set up a label. We picked our size, we selected a barcode, we also put a data field in there, we linked it all, we had the label linked to the database, we assigned it to fields and so forth. You can actually see the yellow highlighted areas, and then we printed the labels out. But that's basically, once you have a person set up your Excel spreadsheet that your operators in the plant can't change, then in fact, and you build the label for them, it's just a matter of them calling that up, just like I said before, just calling that puppy up and do a print, and then as you can see, they're going to select exactly what they want. And I think that's the magic of the thing, where you eliminate errors. All they're going to do is select and say what quantities they want, but this information, you're going to have somebody else in an office somewhere kind of be the guardian of that information. But to end it, that's the video on using a ZT230 with the Zebra Designer Pro software, actually building a label, assigning it a data field, linking it to a database, and then assigning the fields that are linked to the database that you want to print, including a barcode and so forth. So it's really that simple. Once again, if you have any questions, just give me a call, but I think the video is self-explanatory. I'd encourage you though, before you go to this step, watch the video on how to operate the ZT230, watch the video on how to format a label using the Zebra Design Pro software, watch the video on how to link a database, and then you can watch this video, how to link a database to a barcode. All of those are important. So once again, John at GMIT, thank you very much.